Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time I'm playing in a tank that I really never thought that I was going to play, the T34 Black Edition, a vehicle sold 6 days ago during Wargaming's rather lackluster Black Friday extravaganza. I did a whole video on what I thought about the farce that was the T34 Black Edition, and it was a premium tank that I had no intentions of picking up myself. However, on Sunday, a lovely gentleman named Jesper, a massive thank you to Jesper, gifted this to me while I was live streaming, and so I felt obliged to play it. But really, to all intents and purposes, this is just a regular T34. Now, I reviewed the standard T34, I guess, a year ago now, and even though it's one of the oldest Tier 8 premium tanks in the game, it took me long enough to be able to get that review out, right? And it's also, and I only just found this out last week, one of the most played heavy tanks in the game, period. I think this was the second most played heavy tank on any server over the last month. And that's nothing to do with the Black Edition. That was just a standard T34 as the Black Edition was revealed and released. So that had no impact on the statistics. And I guess that's because the T34 used to be a Tier 9 American heavy tank way back, I guess in 2012 or 2011 now. And then when they made it a premium vehicle, they gave everybody who had a regular T34 for free. And so that was a pretty good deal, and so I guess that's probably one of the reasons why it is the most played heavy tank, because a lot of people managed to pick up this baby for free. Or maybe people just seem to like this tank. And I can understand why. 400 alpha on its main gun, 246mm of penetration. It hits hard and it hits reliably, going straight through the turret of the Tiger there. But also, I think, now that we have the Patriot in the game, the T26E5 I believe it's designated as, I think this tank really is starting to show its age. And I'm not really going to comment on power creep and everything. All I really want to do is talk about how the T34 stacks up to the Patriot. And so I had a quick look at some of the statistics. Firstly, this tank has got 25% less DPM than the Patriot. It's got 1,600 DPM compared to the Patriot's 2,000. Also, this tank has 1.1 seconds more aim time, and its dispersion values are 50% more than the Patriot. That is rather awkward indeed, so that means the aim time on this tank is just so much longer. The only real advantage that this vehicle has over the Patriot, I guess, is the alpha damage of 400. Look at this aim time. Oh, we can't even get the snapshot into the Hummel. I thought I would chance it, hoping that I would be able to fire before the IS-3, and it looks like both me and the IS-3 missed the Hummel, and it's the ARL behind who finishes him off. And so, while you do have the penetration advantage, it's not really all that much. Fair enough when you compare like a T34 to a T32, that basically 50mm of penetration advantage that this tank has is significant, but compared to the new Patriot, which has got 230mm of penetration, it just certainly doesn't feel that significant. Other advantages that the Patriot has is that it's way faster. This tank's top speed limit is 5 km an hour slower than the Patriot, and I would say its overall mobility is about 25 to 30% less when you take into account the power to weight ratio and also the ground resistances that the tank has. So as you can see, we're slowly climbing up the slope here. The Patriot would definitely be going up here at about 20 kilometers, I'd say. Perhaps a little bit more, perhaps about 20 kilometers. And so, really, I just feel that this tank is completely... it's just... You know, I said I wasn't going to talk about power creep, but really, this tank has been completely power creeped by the Patriot, thinking about it. Unfortunately, we leave the Jagdpanther on just 53 hit points there. If we had rolled slightly high, we would have been able to take him out. And you just see how long it has taken me to be able to get towards the enemy's base here, even though I'm defending an assault. Now, pushing around this corner isn't really that bad of an idea, going all the way around here, because then you get to defend your base from the enemy's base, which actually works out really well. But one thing I didn't appreciate, I think, is just how slow and lumbering this tank is. And also, talking about slow and lumbering, look how slowly the turret turns in this vehicle. I believe the turret traverse in this tank is 18 degrees compared to the Patriot's 25 degrees. And also, the track traverse is 22 degrees compared to the Patriot's 30 degrees. Really, the Patriot... Oh, and there's also one thing that is brutally annoying about this tank compared to the Patriot is that this vehicle gets 360 meters view range, which is certainly not very American. This tank finds it very hard to spot for itself unless you boost it up with coated optics, and even though I've got an exceptionally skilled crew in this tank, we're not really able to spot our opponents above maybe, that looks like about maybe 400 meters, even with maxed out crew skills. Whereas the Patriot, on the other hand, has 30 meters more base view range, and I don't even need to use coated optics on my Patriot with some good crew skills and probably using some cola as well to be able to spot right up until 445 meters. Okay, TVP VTU. Well, that's the freest damage I think I'm ever going to have in World of Tanks. And so, really what we find... And there's also another thing, I almost completely forgot that the Patriot, while it still has an excellent turret, it might not be quite as good as the T34, but then again the T34 has this whole area here which you can overmatch with 120mm guns, and it does have quite a prominent cupola. Albeit that when you are using your gun depression, you get hull down in this tank, it does have exceptionally good turret armor, but so does the Patriot! And also the Patriot's hull armor is about 50% better than the T34. In fact, I think you would have to be pretty crazy to choose the T34 over the Patriot. And I guess that's what Wargaming's plan was when we think about it. Why they know that lots of people have bought the T34. Would people buy the Patriot unless it was significantly better? And that's unfortunate for all the T34 drivers, a lot like me, but I guess good for people who haven't yet picked up a premium and want to pick up something truly special. And I'm slowly working my games up in the Patriot. I think I've got my Patriot games up to maybe about 30? Before I really start to make comments about how overpowered I think that tank is, I want to work up about 100 games in it. But currently I'm doing exceptionally well in the Patriot. That's not to say that we're not doing very well in this game as well. We're up to 2,225 damage and 3 kills, but it's more about the way that I've played this game. So just to talk it through, because now we're actually in a situation which is rather tricky. At the moment, I want to use this rock to avoid the T34-1. But now that I've seen that the T34-1 is going after the Hummel, that means that I can push my way up and I don't get shot in the side of the turret. We can put a big shell into the T34 there, just repairing our gun before we do so to maximize our accuracy. Now, the reason why I wasn't being aggressive and going after the T34 is, firstly, we're defending and I don't really have to attack him. I can afford to just defend and use the IS-3, who's hopefully covering for me from behind. But also, when I push up, you can see that the whole of the side of my turret would have been visible to the T34-1, and he would have probably been able to get a shot into me. And so, now that I know that he's up in the northeast, I can start to be more aggressive because I know I'm not exposing the side of my turret. I don't know what the T34 on the enemy team was doing. He got shut down fairly quickly. I guess he felt like he wanted to make an aggressive play. And now the Panther appears on 97% of his hit points. He puts one into me, but I put a much bigger shell into him. 136 damage taken for 409 dealt to him. He is not going to trade very well if he continues to do that. With 2 minutes left on the game, the enemy team can't quite decide how they want to be able to push into the cap. And that's why it was so important to make the play over the field to be able to get into this position. Because now I'm in this position, that means that obviously I'm spotting for the IS-3, and if I was sitting there, there was no way that I was going to be able to secure the cap circle. And remember, as this is an assault game and I am defending, all I have to do is make sure that they don't win, and then I win by default. So, the Panther tries to push aggressively across. I'm not sure if the IS-3 managed to hit him. Actually, he certainly didn't, because I've shot the Panther 3 times for 1,147 damage, and the IS-3 doesn't seem to be having much luck with his sniping. I get spotted by the Yank Panther, however I pull back, use the strong turret armor of the T-34, and the great alpha damage to be able to shut down the Tier 8 German tank destroyer. I was going to say turreted there. I've been playing the Borsig so much recently. Now this sneaky T-34-1 thought he'd come and have a go at me, and I can't decide who I want to go for right now. I decide that I can manage to get up and interrupt the Panther in time before he manages to cap, and it's far more important that I deal with the tank that's likely to flank me and harass me from behind. Luckily, he doesn't manage to penetrate my tracks and my hull armor, and we don't even take any damage there. We shut him down, picking up a top gun for our 4,574 damage. And there's the artillery trying to sneak in to ambush the IS-3. I guess he thought that the only way he was going to win is if he managed to shotgun our Soviet Tier 8 Heavy, while these two Tier 7 medium tanks tag teamed me. But that is certainly not going to be the case. We're pushing forwards. We've got plenty of... Well, actually, there's only 9 seconds left on the game. There's no chance this Panther is going to be able to cap, but I am just greedy. 4, 3, 2, 1. Maximum aim time. Shut down the Tier 7 German medium tank and pick up our 7th kill of the game. So I guess what this really shows that even tanks that are possibly not the most competitive in the current meta can still have great impact if you play them in a sensible way. And I wonder if the kind of matchup that we got in was because this was the first ever game I played in the T34B. Do you think Wargaming gives you some kind of preferential matchmaking for the first game you play in a new premium tank? Just a couple of key aspects that I want to highlight. Number one, I went into this location because there were 3 enemy artillery on the enemy team. If I'm in a strong hull down tank like the T34 and I'm defending on Karelia, there are 3 positions that I want to use. 1, I want to be up here. 2, I want to be defending the base from here, or alternatively, and finally, I can be over in this location. I will only use this position, which I think is superior if there's no artillery on the enemy team, because as we should be able to see, there is just no real artillery cover in this position apart from hiding behind this rock. But if you hide behind this rock, you can't engage the opponents that are likely to be around here. And so because of the amount of artillery on the enemy team, I decided to go northeast. This rock will provide you with excellent protection. You can hold an important location while still avoiding the enemy artillery. And so it's important to make that decision based on the enemy's lineup at the start of the game. From there on, it was a case of not meeting anyone, progressing as aggressively as I can to try and take out all of the defensive tanks along here. And then seeing that nobody was going to defend the cap circle apart from me, I ended up in a perfect hold down location to be able to defend the cap circle and provide the low view range Soviet heavy tank that is the IS-3 to be able to hopefully get in a few shots to support me. So what a result for the T34B, an ace tanker in our very first game played, although I've played the standard T34, which is exactly the same as this tank, hundreds of times, so it wasn't really a new novel experience. We get a defender medal, a high caliber, and a top gun for our 7 kills. We did 4 times the damage what anyone else on our team was able to do, and I'm very surprised that this IS-3 was only able to do 809 damage, but then again, he did pick up a couple of kills. And as usual with the T34, it doesn't really need any premium rounds at all, and so we make 123,000 credits profit. And also I've decided that I'm probably going to retire the T34B and never play it after that fairly awesome first game. But honestly, given the choice, I would never recommend picking up a T34 anymore because the Patriot just feels so much better, at least in the first few games that I played in it. And if you want to see my full opinion on the T34B and Wargaming's Black Friday sellout, then simply click the more info icon in the top right hand corner of your screen. And let me know in the comments down below how you think the T34 stacks up to the Patriot, and whether there's any reason of still playing this tank if you had both of them. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.